Welcome to the Exploring New England podcast with Ryan Zipp, where each week I will be talking about what makes this historic region such an amazing place to enjoy. From the scenic views to road trip ideas to where to grab the best eats and much more. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Exploring New England podcast with me, Ryan Zipp. Hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. Hopefully for some of you, most of you, you got a long weekend out of it, or if not, at least a few days off. We had some pretty good weather here in Connecticut. I think it was similar all around the rest of New England. So wherever you are, I hope you're able to get some relaxing in, maybe see some family and friends, eat some good food, and, all that good stuff. So my store is always closed on Sunday and Monday, so didn't give me a extra day or longer weekend at all, but no complaints here. I still was able to enjoy it, and more weekends than not, I am away adventuring, but this past weekend I was local. I, not that I haven't gone away on holiday weekends, but these days a lot of them I end up sticking around local. It's those weekends where more people than average are going out traveling. Roads are crazy, hotels are crazy. Kind of reminds me of the old thing like St. Patty's and New Year's Eve are like those amateur hour nights. The nights when the people who don't usually go out partying and drinking are out partying and drinking. So it's the nights that you don't want to be. So for me, I'm out traveling, adventuring all the time. So for those weekends, I'll leave it to others to be out there, fighting amongst the madness anyway. But not that I haven't. Like I said, back in 2019, Labor Day weekend, I was up on Cape Cod and stayed in the North Truro area and, hung around mostly there and P-Town. That kind of started my love for heading up there in the month of September, and now I typically go up there after Labor Day, whether it's middle or closer to the end of the month, which I'll most likely be doing again this year. I haven't fully planned that out yet. I have a few things penciled in. I'm just waiting to finalize some others. And another one in 2020, the year of the pandemic, where after I was finally able to travel around again, I was up in Booth Bay Harbor for Labor Day weekend. That was one of my first hotel stays where I got some photos for them and they hooked me up with a room. So that was, another great weekend. Also, there wasn't many people traveling then yet, which was kind of nice for me to get around to some of these places with a lot less people. And, I know a lot of you follow me on Instagram. So this week I've shared at least, I think, 3 photos from both of those trips there, and I'll probably be sharing a few more for my September vibed images. So again, not that I haven't in the past, but the last handful of years I haven't. And one of the reasons I also stay local that weekend is I do a few fantasy football leagues, and the one I've been in for the longest time with a bunch of guys from Hamden, the town I grew up in. And I know most of them for 25 plus years, I'd say by now. And it's kind of become tradition there that we get together on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend to do all that. And we start off the morning with 9 holes of golf. And recently it's been over at Sleeping Giant Golf Course in Hamden, where I grew up and where my store is now. And it was great to get out. I played golf a lot more when I was younger. It was pretty good. Just with not enough time for everything. These days, I don't play as much, and this ends up being one of the only times I get to go. So the last time I played was last Labor Day weekend, and then got out again Sunday, and the rain held out, and it was really nice. And despite not playing, for those of you who play or know, I still shot 42, which is pretty good. It's par 35, not 36, but still I can't complain about that score for a once-a-year round, and it was just great to be out there. And afterwards, we went to one of the guys' houses in Brantford, and by the water and grilled out, ate a bunch of food, and did the football draft. And it was cool to hang out. A lot of these guys that we don't get to see each other much, and some of them, for me, it's like the one time a year we get to catch up. So that was great, and it is nice to recharge and kind of reset and enjoy some of the the hometown stuff. So no complaints there that I wasn't away this weekend. And then on Monday, actual Labor Day, I ended up doing a little labor. The lawn was much past overdue for me to get done because I haven't been around. So trimmed and mowed and managed to not get stung by any yellow jackets this time like the last. I did see a few. So hopefully they leave me alone. Luckily I'm not allergic. But then also on Monday, I went over to my buddy Nick's house, who I was in the band with. And he's about to head out on the road with the Neil Diamond production that he was on Broadway with. So he's in rehearsals for that now and about to hit the road. So it's going to be tougher to get together. And then other Nick, who was in the band with us as well. So we all met up there and with some other family and friends and grilled out and did the whole Labor Day thing. So it was really nice to catch up there as well. So again, it's, as everyone gets older, just in all of your kind of corners of your lives, it just gets tougher to see each other. So, and I'm obviously on the road a lot too, adventuring. So Labor Day weekend for me was one of kind of catching up and spending time with friends. And I hope you guys all kind of got to do the same. So since I didn't get anywhere, on Friday night after work, I kind of wanted to do something just because I knew I wasn't going to be traveling this weekend. And after the week before, when I was in Newport and I went out on one of the sunset sailboat cruises there, I started looking around to see what other ones could be closer to me in Connecticut that I could check out. And there was one right in Mystic. And if you guys have ever been there to downtown Mystic, beautiful. And they have that really unique drawbridge that goes up every time boats need to come through. But right on one side of the bridge area there, there's a company with sailboat that does these sailboat cruises. And the name of the sailboat is the Argia. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Argia. It's an 81-foot two-masted gaff schooner. It holds up to 49 passengers. And if you've been there, it's like, again, right from the bridge, you could see it. I guess depends what side you're coming from. But it has like banners on it, like day trips and sailing trips and such. So I had seen it before, again, but never been on it. So I booked that. So I booked their sunset cruise. They have 4 trips per day, one at 9:30 in the morning, one at noon, one at 3 p.m., and then a sunset one. Now that we're after Labor Day, the sunset one gets a little earlier. I think the afternoon one does as well once it hits October. So again, you have to go to their site to just see currently what the schedule is like. But basically have a morning, midday, afternoon, and sunset option. And the way you book it is you can either book slots for like different kinds of seats on the sailboat. It shows you like a nice chart and photos. You either book it as like a single, 2 or 3. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 people, you book accordingly. If you have more than 3, you can obviously book next to each other on it. Pretty easy to do. They allow you to bring beer, wine, seltzer. They just don't want you having hard alcohol out there. This is for the sunset cruise. And also they do have water and lemonade there, like on the boat. They also have a bathroom down below, so if you do need to go, it's easy to do. It is the style of the ship. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to ships or boats or anything, so I'm learning as I explore more around the coastline. But they call this a 19th century East Coast trading ship, the style of it. This is the last commercial sailing ship in Mystic that's currently operating. So it's really neat. It's like an old style ship that they'd be using hundreds of years ago, and obviously it's just a great way to get out on the water and enjoy the beautiful historic coastline here in that part of Connecticut. They start going out in May and they wrap up in mid-October, So as you're listening now, you have a good 5 weeks left. Again, look at the schedules and see. But if you've never done it and you're looking for something to do, I highly recommend it. I had a great time. Um, they also have a few things when you're booking you can add on, like a wine glass and different kind of souvenirs. And they also do offer a lobster salad roll with chips. And it wasn't my usual style because it was more of like a lobster salad, but it looked good enough in the picture. And since I was jetting right from work, I didn't have time to pick up anything else. So I said, what the heck, and went for it. And they bring it out on the boat for you if you ordered it. And it was actually pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know if you remember last week, I had lobster roll from like a nice restaurant in Newport, and it was not good at all. And that was more the style I usually like, but it just wasn't good. And this one, not my usual, but was pretty good. So it hit the spot as well. You know, you're eating a fresh lobster roll while you're cruising out on the sailboat there. So again, that's an option you can add on if you'd like. And you have to be there like 30 minutes before. I think they start loading about 20 minutes before you go out. There's free parking up the hill there from Mystic. There's like a church parking lot that you can park in. And I believe it's as long as it's not Sunday. You'll have to check. But able to park up there, and then you just let them know when you check in that your car's there with your license plate. So no charge for parking. And yeah, there's also, you can also charter it for like a private group. I don't know what that takes as far as price or people, but again, it's an option if you do want to go out for a private event as well. But it was really cool. You know, I had one of kind of like the middle seats, and so it didn't have a back, but it kind of had padding on it. It was one of the options left since I rolled out as a single. So, but you know, depending on what you have, there are some seats with backs and some don't. They kind of go over. It's funny. They're like, there's a couple zones where the floor is painted gray, and they're like, there's a lot of moving things when the sails are going, and they're basically like, just stay out of these certain areas. So the crew was really nice. They kind of give you some info along the way about everything. And, you know, so it was historic and also just really enjoyable. But, you know, you head out there, and they obviously have a motor on the sailboat to get you out until they start raising the sails. Forgot how far out we were when they put them up. And at first they just had the two sails kind of in the front and the back up. And again, I don't know all the specific terms, but they didn't have the middle sail up for the kind of first half of the trip. And at some point, someone around me asked, like, "Oh, are you gonna get that other one up?" And there was like enough wind, and they said, you know, they didn't need to. They'd see, you know, it wasn't necessary. But then, kind of later on, they did raise that third sail, and we got moving a little more, and we started to heel and kind of tilt to a side, like you see the sailboats. So that was cool. Again, good experience overall. But when you head out of the you know, the river area there, and you kind of get going, one of the first notable areas that you come across is the coastline of Noank, which is a small coastal village in the town of Groton, also obviously on the Connecticut shoreline there. I'm sure some of you have been there or know of it because of a few of the well-known lobster shacks. Abbott's the largest one there, and Ford's, although Ford's was bought recently in a different name now. I haven't been down there since that, so I don't know anything about it, and I forget what the new name is there. But Abbott's is still going, and we did go by it, and we're able to see people out there eating. So, you know, it's one of the more well-known lobster shacks here in Connecticut. It's also on the National Historic Register there, the whole village of Noank. It's beautiful. I've been down there, you know, to eat lobster and also just to kind of cruise around and walk around a bit with my camera in the past. And then as you're getting out into more, right before you hit more open waters, on the right-hand side there is Morgan Point. And right there is this beautiful historic lighthouse, Morgan Point Lighthouse, aptly named. And it is private. It's been private since 1921 when it was decommissioned. I believe it was completed, as you see at the building, in 1868, so been there a while. In 1921, they decommissioned it and stopped using it and was sold Forget who the first person was that bought it as a private, private owner. And then in 1991, it was sold again to, I think you said it was someone, finance guy out of Greenwich area. So him and his family currently summer there. That's like their summer home. And, they've done a lot of renovations on the inside as well. I think there's pictures online. I didn't see any, though, yet. But it's one you can't really see from land since it's all like private around it. But any boat you go by, including one of these cruises, you get to see it. So that was really neat to get some shots of that. I think I read somewhere he has a big 4th of July party every year for family and friends. Sometimes he has like this old school cannon he fires off on certain occasions. So it's cool to see someone who, purchased it and wants to keep the beauty and the historic aspect of it and is using it. And so it's not kind of just going to waste or anything. So that'd be cool. I wish I owned my own historic lighthouse on the coast, maybe someday. So that's one of the more notable spots that you go by. And then there's these tiny little like island cottages almost right after that were really neat. I snagged a few shots of. Then you kind of head more out into the open water. And, you get out a little bit more, and then you have part of New York on your left side, Fisher's Island, which I guess is a lot of, a lot of private homes, mostly private areas, a lot of like old school money. Forget some of the names they were tossing around. I think like Vanderbilts and such had properties there, probably still do. Again, I don't know all that history about it, but so you do have, so we're basically like teetering on the Connecticut, New York line out in the water there. And so that's to your left. And again, you had Noank and the coastline there to your right. And then kind of like almost straight ahead, there's another island you could see with like a lighthouse structure far out. And then one of the crew there had a little like microphone, little speaker, and was telling us stories about that specifically. But that lighthouse and the keeper's house and such was built the mid to late 1800s. And at some point, again, it was decommissioned like the other, and they was sold to one or two private owners before the current one. The current owner's name is Dean Kamen, and he invented the Segway. I guess he invented some other things as well. He bought that in 1986. He bought the whole island, and he wanted to start doing some different things, like have like a little wind turbine and some other aspects on the island, and was running into trouble as far as, I guess, permits and restrictions and such. So, and then another thing was like, technically the island was almost right on the border of the two states. So like New York wanted taxes from him, Connecticut wanted taxes from him, and he's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay to both states. And also like, I'm literally out here like on my own, providing my own for everything. I get nothing from either state. So he literally like drew up something to secede from the United States. And although it was never like honored technically, he literally like called it the Kingdom of North Dumpling. It's called North Dumpling Island from way back, And apparently he was friends with George Bush Sr. And when he was president at the time, signed some like non-aggression pact, which basically is like almost like a treaty or something. I don't know if they said like Bush actually went out there, which is kind of wild to think about. But technically now it's he also got it, so I think they like adjusted literally like the line of New York. So now it's like he's just in New York. He's in one state rather than deal with it. So Southold, New York, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is technically the town he's a part of. But yeah, it's just interesting. I remember hearing when I was in Newport last week on that. In Jamestown, there was an island there with a house on it, another one of those historic things. And I believe that owner actually brought a case to Supreme Court in Rhode Island and like actually won to like be his own thing and not pay taxes. So it's crazy, all these unique little things and all these little islands and structures on them. And over here in Brantford near me, we have the Thimble Island. So it's really cool. Just more of that stuff that makes coastal New England so special and kind of unique. But yeah, so this guy has kind of like his own he has like his own, like he said he had his own currency, and like his own navy is like one boat, and his own song, like national song. So again, just really funny, and it was cool hearing hearing these things from the crew on the boat. again, that's what I love about all these spots is you get to hear some of the history and uniqueness to it. Um, and it had a little bit of color for sunset, nothing too crazy. You're out there on all these trips for close to 2 hours, so it was just awesome to kind of cruise around. And again, if you bring a bottle of wine, people were popping wine, had some beers and seltzers going, so just a really good time. Whether you go out solo or go as a couple, it's a great like date idea. You can do dinner afterwards or before. Go with the group, go with family. I highly recommend it. There's also a number from the neighboring Mystic Seaport. They have a number of different boats you can go out. They have the Sabino, which is the one I was actually supposed to go out on in July when I went there to do some content, but they need 6 people to operate. And that day, it was a Monday, they just didn't have enough. So I was bummed about that one. I didn't get to go out. But that's a historic steamboat that was renovated recently in recent years. And they added electric diesel generators to it, so it can run a lot cleaner, more environmentally friendly, even though it is like the steamboat. I guess if there's like some special events, they will fire up the old school steam engine to have that classic, functioning of it. But that goes out a number of 30-minute runs up the river throughout the day. They do one 90-minute one in the afternoon, and they do have a 2-hour sunset one. And I believe those go around the same time till sometime in October. So another one to check out if you want to do a little, they could do some shorter, riverboat cruises there, half-hour ones if you don't want to do the longer end of the day one. So look that up on Mystic Seaport's website. Just another obviously cool place to go with everything they have going on. They also have a number of different boats there you can charter of different sizes for private kind of endeavors as well. So that's another option in Mystic. And the Argia was the name again of the sailboat I went out on, the 81-foot sailboat that holds up close to 50 people on. So look at the websites again for more info. I'm trying to remember the stuff to tell you, but I don't always remember everything. Also, while you're there, downtown Mystic, tons of great restaurants. And when I was there in July, when I went to go on the ship, I ended up staying with at the Whalers Inn, which is a beautiful historic boutique inn right there downtown, like right near the drawbridge. And I still stayed there for the night, even though the boat trip was canceled. Got some photos of the inn and property for them as well for them to use. And on their property there, they also have an amazing restaurant called the Shipwright's Daughter. And the head chef there, David Standridge, actually won a James Beard Award recently this year, which is a huge deal, and was the first in the Northeast, I believe, to win it in a long time. From this general area. So it's an awesome, awesome thing. And I ate there that night as well. The food was amazing. The vibe was great in there. So can't recommend that as enough as well. So even if you're not staying there, it's an awesome spot to grab a bite. So you can pair that with one of these boat cruises as well, or just kind of walking around to some of the shops, have ice cream after and such. But it was a great stay there. I'd been there a number of times, but that was like the first time I actually stayed there because it's just over 45 minutes from my house. So it's not like one that I need to stay over many times. But it's one of those. So even if you're from Connecticut, it's a cool thing to go do sometime, or outside of Connecticut. It's a beautiful spot too, all times of year. But cool one for fall foliage. So probably like later October could have some color there. Have to monitor and see how it's going, but I'll probably head down there one day, like after I get out of work at 4 and shoot, maybe get some color. So we'll see. I'm in the midst of planning the fall stuff now, and finishing up my September stuff. I'm gonna be heading to Block Island for a night this coming weekend, which is awesome. It's like become tradition for me to head there in September for a handful of years now. I usually just stay one night, but you're able to get in and eat a bunch of the food. I have my spots I like going to, grab some mudslides, of course, and just soak in the vibes that make Block Island so special. Hopefully that one night get a decent sunset, but we'll see. Doing that, and then working on a few others. Actually, they're kind of penciled in at the moment. Trying to get, like I told you last week, how September is a great shoulder season for a lot of these coastal locations, for cheaper hotel, just less people around, not nearly as busy. You could just roll up to beaches, get parking, no charge to get in or anything. And there's still restaurants open, and still warmer days and cooler nights like we've been having this week. So I'll definitely be updating you guys on that, and obviously giving you the recaps like usual. So next week, expect a recap of my Block Island trip, and just the island there in general from my previous trips as well. Give you some recommendations if you've never been. I'm sure a lot of you have been before, and we'll recognize spots I'm talking about and relate. So hopefully that brings you back a bit if you haven't been in a while. And before you know it, we're literally like a month away from when I'm gonna begin my fall foliage chasing up in the Northeast Kingdom in Vermont, followed by the next week more central part of the state, and then working on as well where I'm gonna go after that. Kind of waiting to see how things progress, and also the best options. It's a balance of like going back to spots that I love, and then also trying to get to new areas, to get new photos for fall. It's like, working 5 days a week, only having 2 days free, and then maybe having like, you have the beginning of October till maybe, first. So you're looking at maybe 5, maybe 6 weeks if you squeeze it, but more like, so I have maybe 10, 12 days off at most to kind of, capture as much foliage as I can all around New England. So it's always an exciting time. I'm pumped for it. It could be a little anxious and stressful. This year is looking good as far as the conditions for the foliage, so hope things kind of stay the way they are now. And now that I've been doing it since 2017 every fall, I'm not quite like I used to be, like, all these spots on a list, and I need to get to all these and get shots from all these. And not that I don't mind doing stuff like that, but as I've done it more and, gotten a little bit older as well, I really enjoy just kind of going there and just enjoying the cool mornings, just being there amongst everything. And especially Vermont, to me in the fall, there's nothing like it. You literally feel like you're on a movie set the whole time you're there. So focusing more these days on just enjoying it and living in the moment, and obviously capturing photos as well, what's going to happen. So if you're out there and you're kind of planning your trips, like, don't stress it. Kind of just go with the averages. This year's looking like it should be a normal, good average year. So, go by the average times that things peak, and, all we can do is plan and roll with it. We'll see what happens. That's all I'm doing. So don't stress about it, especially if you're a photographer. I know what it's like, but it'll be good no matter what you do. So kind of go with the averages and follow my buddy Jim Salgi, who does the foliage reports for Yankee Magazine. So he's already put out his first. I don't think he's done a second yet, but he'll be doing reports, updating the whole time. So keep an eye on him. Obviously, you follow me, so I'll give you any updates that I get and where I'm going to be going. And yeah, so here we are officially entering, I guess, what I'm calling second summer now. We're after Labor Day, but we're not quite fall yet. So these next 3-4 weeks to me, September is like it's still summer vibes to me, even though, a lot of people say it's fall. Again, it's like, second summer, a little shoulder season. So let's all have a great September, and check back next week to hear about Block Island. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you then.